For those of you who have been on the Sparkle website recently, you'll notice that the new design has suddenly got something people want to talk about. And it's this little car rental calculator, which you can see on the page here. And I'm just going to interact with it by saying, I'm a 45 to 65 year old. I'd like a luxury car because that's what I deserve. And I want it for 21 days. The calculator has shown me what it's going to cost me. Now that's a lovely little thing to have on your website should you need something like this. And it can be anything, obviously not just car rentals. You may want some people to work out what you want to do, a price per quantity, a price per item per quantity. And it's something that's quite new in Sparkle, and I'm going to show you now how to put this together in a simplified way. So let's pop over to Sparkle, and here we have a blank canvas. Now the first thing I'm going to do is explain to you the way it's going to work. So you've got some drop down menus where you're going to select things. You've got a slider which you're going to select a quantity. You're going to have to put in a base price and some values for your options. And let me explain all of this to you. It's probably an easier thing to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is to create a little background. And we'll just create a box for now. And I'm going to really quickly stylize it to be a bit grayer. We're going to put no, we don't need a border. We're going to put some rounded edges on it. So the first thing we want to do is give the box a title so that people know what they're looking at. So we'll put some text in. And we'll call the text car rental prices. And we shall make the text white, and we will increase, sorry, I'm just clicking. We shall increase its size to be title size. We'll make it bold, centered. Let's put an effect, because on the website they do this. We'll put a gradient text and we'll make it a yellow to let's say an orangey red, and we'll turn that to 90 degrees, and we'll just close that up a little bit, and just so the gradient comes in a little bit more, we'll reduce the size of the box. There's our title. Now we want another text box with a subtitle. Put this one in. We'll just use normal text for this. And it'll say, see how much you will pay. And we'll leave the text fonts as they are. We'll turn it white and make it a little bit bigger. And we'll center it. And we'll just close this box up a little bit. And we'll make it bold because it's a subtitle. So far so good, nothing complex yet. Now I'm going to duplicate that. And for this, I'm just going to say age. And we'll move that to there. We'll align it left. Actually, we'll align it right for this one. And I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to say car type. So you can see we're going to have some options on the right hand side. I'm then going to put my slider in after this. So we'll go add slider. I'm going to put that off to the left. And we can set some options for the slider straight away. So I want the minimum value to be 1 day. and I want the maximum value to be 30 days, so a maximum of, say, about a month. I want the increments to be 1 because that's 1 day at a time, and we'll set the initial value to 3 days. The background of the slider, well, we can go back to our colors here, and this one we'll set at that. So we're using a gradient on the slider. I'll just turn that gradient to 90 degrees. I can't find it. There it is. And we'll make the slider height a little bit thicker, like that. We don't want a border on this slider. We'll round the corners. And if we click on the little button in the slider, we have access to formatting that. So I'll make the border on that white, and we'll fill it with white. So there's our slider set. We have the numerical values we want for the number of days over on the right hand side here, and we also have the correct colors as to the title. Again, this is just being designed ad hoc, so you'll do whatever you do on your designs. Okay, the next thing we want to do is to start inputting some variables. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to add an option selection, and for this one we'll make it for the age. We'll just move that there, and let's stylize this here. Well, first of all, we'll add our options. So this is going to be the age ranges. So here we're going to click on add, and we're going to say 16 to 24. Click on add. This one will be 25 to 34. Click on add. This one will be 35 to 44. I'm going to leave it at that because I think that's all we need to do. Now, here is the value for each option, but I'm going to come back to that in a second. Let's stylize this now. So the placeholder text I'm going to have in white. The default section I'm going to have as the youngest age. So that will appear when the page is loaded. The font is the font. I'll just make this text a little bit bigger in there for people to read. And we will clear the colored background. Or hang on, we'll change the font to white. Let's just use the inner margin. We'll just use the inner margin a bit more. We'll put that at 10 pixels. Now we've got an arrow image on the right hand side of that little box, which will turn white so that people know it's a drop down. But you also have here some options. You may want a different style, or a double arrow, or a circle with an arrow. I'm going to leave it as a little triangle, a disclosure triangle, and you can make that slightly bigger with the margins there. And as we go down, we have a border which we'll leave in white. And we'll round that border to, say, 10 pixels. Maybe a little bit less than that. And we will say you absolutely have to choose an age range, so that will be a required field. Okay, so that is the age range selected and stylized. We're going to duplicate that for speed because the style will stay the same. And we're going to delete the options here because here we want car types. So we're going to add, and this is going to be economy, which is usually what I have to do. We'll add another one to be a sports car. And lastly, we'll add a luxury car. Okay. So we now have those, and we'll set, on this one, we'll set the default to economy. Now what I want to do now is talk a little bit about the maths. So I'm just going to put on the page here a little bit of maths calculation so you can see what's going on. I want my daily rate for car hire to be $50, and I want the 16 to 24 group to be value 1. I want the 25 to 34 group to be 1.5. So if you're 16 to 24, the value group is 1, which is $50. If you're in the second group, it will be 1.5, which will be $75. And I want the 35 to 44 group to be 2. So if you're in that group, you'll be paying twice as much as the youngsters. Now, obviously, this is completely crazy, but I'm just showing you how the maths works. Similarly, if I now switch to the economy, I want that value, if I click in value, to be 1. I want the sports cars to be 1.5, and I want the luxury cars, actually we'll put the sports cars at 2, so it'll be twice. Just for maths calculation it will be easier, so we'll put the luxury cars at 3. And actually, while we're here, we'll just go back to economy and put their values in too. So this will be 1. This will be 1.5. And this will be 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that. And I'm going to say here that the economy car is value 1, just so you can see it without switching to the menu every minute. Sports car will be 1.5, and the luxury car will be 2. So what we have to do is multiply things together, including the number of days, to get an actual number of dollars that you will be paying. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is to put a text box by the slider to say number of days. So I'm just going to take this text box here and duplicate it. We'll just stretch it out, and here we'll see days. But in front of days, with a space, I'm going to insert on the right hand side here a smart field. And it's going to be a calculator. So in it goes. Now you can see, if I click on this word calculator, it will open up some facilities for me to put some information in. So what do I want to do? I want to insert the slider option. That will tell Sparkle to, as I increase the number of days on the slider, when we input that, to show those number of days on the right hand side. Let's have a very quick look to see if that works. So here's my slider. It's currently set at 3 days, and as I slide it, I'm increasing the number of days to 30 because that's what we set as our maximum. These aren't doing anything yet, but they are drop downs. Okay, let's go back to Sparkle. Just align this left because there's a big gap otherwise. Have a look at that. There we go. So that's our slider set. We've now got it calculating the number of days we need. Okay, so now I'm going to put in another text box at the bottom. And in this text box, it's going to say estimate or estimated costs for your hire. Space. And then we're going to insert a smart field. and another calculator. So what do we want the calculator to do this time? Well, if I select this, we've got some values in the top right here, and I want to multiply each of those values by each of the car type values by the number of days to give me a cost. And actually, what I'm going to do just before that is put a $sign. So let's click on the calculator. And what we want it to do is say, take option, I'll tell you what, let's name these first. So I'm going to click on this one and I'm going to name it age drop down. I'm going to click on the car type and I'm going to put car type in the variable name. Now we can go to this calculator here and we can say, I want the value in the age drop down multiplied by the car type value multiplied by the slider value multiplied by $50. So if the age drop down has a value of 1, as shown here, it will multiply 1 by the car type, which is down here. Let's say I want a 16 to 24-year-old economy. So it's 1 times 1 times the slider. So if I've set that to 3, that will be 1 times 1 times 3 times 50. It's 150. We'll class that as numeric to 3 digits, and we'll close that down. So now in theory, the calculator can calculate those values, and if we preview that, it has done just that. So that value is 1, 16 to 24 here. This value, economy, is also 1, as shown here. So it's multiplied those two together. 1 times 1 is 1. It's multiplied that by 3 to give you 3. And then it's multiplied it by $50 per day. So 3 days, $50, $150. If we say 1 times 3 times, say, 4 times 50. So 1 times 3 is 3, times 4 is 12, times 50 should be $600, which it is. And actually we need just to convert that numeric value to no digits. I think that will give us a better look. There we go. So if I then say, well, I'm in the 35 to 44 group, which now has a value of 2, and my car type is a sports, which has a value of 2, that's 2 times 2, and I want it for 4 days, that's 4 times 4 is 16, times 50 is $800. So it is working, and I'm so glad of that. So that's how you can put together a really interactive thing for your clients, your website users to do. You're easily able to calculate all sorts of different things. So I hope that helps you to become creative and put things on your website that you couldn't before. And I will see you in the next tutorial. Thank you so much for watching.